Hi dear friends, welcome to the Women Awakening Project, a space to gather interviews with female masters of all spiritual traditions. I want to thank the donors that are supporting the project, and if you want to help as well, you can look at the link below. Today we are meeting Karine Martin. She is a French woman, neuroscientist and Daoist priestess. I met her last year in India in Rishikesh, and I already interviewed her back then for my book. This summer I went with Karine Capuano, filmmaker, for a tour of video interviews in France, and this is the first one. In this interview we will see how sometimes the path of science can meet the path of spirituality in very unexpected and surprising ways. She describes herself as a very rational scientist, and after having a couple of experiences in meditation and visiting China, she decided to bow to the oneness of reality and becoming a Daoist priestess. She will share with us what does it mean to be a Daoist priestess and how is it to be a woman in the Daoist tradition in her own experience. She will also share with us the core teaching of Daoism, which is how to go back to the Tao, to our true nature. And it relates to the feminine energy. To know more about Karine Martin, you can find the link below to the Daoist associations and what she organizes, her courses and retreats. Thank you. Enjoy the interview. We are here in Montluçon, France, with Karine Martin. She's a Daoist priestess and a neuroscientist. She has been living in China in temples for 15 years, and she's also the chairwoman of the French Daoist Association. So thank you so much for meeting the Women Awakening Project and being available to share your experience. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you here and a pleasure also. And I think your project is a nice project. So I'm happy to contribute in any way I can.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Would you like to share with us how did your spiritual journey begin?
Yes, I guess from a very young age I was very curious on how the mind works, because I realized I had thoughts and emotions and I wanted to know where they come from. And at the time I wasn't into spirituality at all, but it's the path of science that opened up and that I took. So I did a PhD in pharmaceutical science and then specialized in neuroscience. So that was my tool to better understand the brain. And so I did some research in neuroscience in London in a big neuroscience center. But one day a colleague of mine invited me for a meditation class, an evening class, and I thought, just out of curiosity, let's just go. And during that first meditation, something else opened up to me, something else that was beyond science. A slight, small experience that made me even more curious about meditation. So that's how I started to meditate regularly. And I didn't even know at the time, but that meditation class was actually led by the British Daoist Association. So my first spiritual path, my first spiritual kind of class was in Daoism. I had never heard the word Daoism before. So I just fell into it basically. And the more I practiced meditation and followed that path, the more my curiosity about Daoism became stronger. So that first class was in 1997, and in 2001 I decided to go to visit China, because Daoism, the root is in China, and so I took some holiday and I went there. And at first I had a bit rejection on the temple's life and the kind of what I would call superstitions of bowing in front of the statues of the gods. So I wasn't open to that. But one day I had an experience in one of the temples, and suddenly I realized that the whole thing, whether it's religion or the practice, was just one. And I decided to devote myself to that. So within a split second, I just started to bow to the ground in that temple, and I made the vow to devote myself to that path and also to become a nun, a priestess, and to join the Daoist community. So yes, I went back though to my work, and then the time I got organized 1 year later, 2002, that's when I moved definitely back to China and started to live as a full-time priestess in the temples.
Beautiful. What does it mean to be a Daoist priestess?
First we enter a lineage, so we take what we call the 3 refuges or prosternation and the 5 vows, which means that the 3 take refuge is to respect the Tao, the scriptures and the masters, and the 5 precepts are very general. It's like do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, do not have how would you say sexual misconduct, and also do not drink alcohol or get intoxicated with alcohol or any other substances actually. So those 5 precepts, we call it in Chinese Sangui Wujie, the 3 refuges and 5 precepts. And we get a name, a Daoist name.
What's your name?
My name is Jingxiu, Fanjin de Jingxiu Li de Xiu, which means it's like a beautiful scenery when you're on top of the mountain and you see it's beautiful scenery. Yeah. And yes, from a personal point of view, it means also that you make the decision not to get distracted with superficial things, and it's like suddenly your life takes a very direct direction, but you know, it suddenly becomes a line, a one single lane that you follow, not because you feel obliged to, but because it's a call from your heart, and your heart feels that everything else is just of no importance. And that line, that lane, that straight lane, is not a lane outside yourself, it's a lane that brings you back to yourself. So suddenly, instead of looking outside for things to get fulfillment from, then you look inside, and that's where you get your fulfillment from inside yourself. So it's a sense of direction inside and not outside.
Yeah, okay. It's a focusing also.
Yeah,
focusing on the,
Yes.
And how is it to be a woman in the Taoist tradition?
It's very easy in a way, because Daoism since the beginning promoted equality between men and women, because at the heart of the Daoist philosophy is the concept of yin and yang, which means that neither yin or yang are superior. Both of them are necessary and they are equal. And it's the fact that yin and yang exist as equal that the world is in harmony. So the position of women within Daoism is of equality. So we can practice, we can do anything just like the men do. We can perform rituals, we can become head of a temple, we can even become head of the temple where there are only men. We can manage the men there, the monks. or we can be head of a temple that is mixed, where there are men and women. There's no difference. Even the clothes are the same. Everything is the same. Yeah.
That is very unique, I think, in the panorama of traditions.
Yes, and also, so it's based on that concept of yin and yang that equally exist and interact. But also, it comes from the fact that the Tao, when we read the Tao Te Ching, which is the book of the path and the virtue, Tao Te Ching, the way and virtue. That book, very small, is based on the notion that to go back to the Tao, to go back to our true self, we need to have that very soft and gentle energy of the feminine. That's how we will reach the Tao. And that's written very clearly in the book. It's by cultivating the energy of water, the softness and the openness of the feminine energy, that we can get back to our original nature. So not only men and women are equal, but there's also a saying in the alchemical text that women have a tendency to actually evolve quicker than men, because they already have inside them that softness that will allow them to progress towards their true nature.
Yeah. Yeah, so this is basically the feminine principle.
Yes.
in Daoism.
Yes.
Is this a soft force?
Yes, soft force.
Is it also what we mean when we say be like water?
Yes, be like water, and the receptive, like for example when you look at the I Ching or the I Ching, which is another important text, it's to be the receptive, to be the receptive. So yes, like being like water. Water, because of its softness, and it can adapt to any situation. Because it's not when you're hard and strong that you can adapt. When you're hard and strong, you fight against. Then when you're like water, you bend around things. You go deep. You make yourself so tiny, like little steam, that you overcome the obstacles. It's not by resisting it or attacking or confronting the obstacle. It's by moving around or becoming just like mist, or little by little dropping, and then we know that the hardest rock or stone with the drop of water will split at some point, because yes, that's those kind of characteristic or qualities that we are trying to develop. Also, the way of water is that when it rains, it's very equanimous. It's gonna rain and bring water to the bad grass or the rumbles, but also it's gonna bring water to the roses and the beautiful flower, the vegetables. So it nourishes everything equanimously, without judgment. So that's also a quality that we are trying to develop. And that's through that quality that we are going to bring ourselves back to our true nature. Actually, it's the quality of our true nature to be like that.
So especially in the beginning of the path, you would say approaching, for who is approaching meditation, who is approaching the spiritual journey, keeping in mind that it's not about controlling the mind, it's not about gaining something, getting somewhere with a force that is tightening in any way, right?
Yes. Yeah, very true. And also, just to go back to that expression, at the beginning of the path, actually it's always the beginning of the path.
Yes.
So there's not at the beginning of the path.
Yeah, right.
Every second it's just the beginning of the path. So indeed, we should always and constantly keep in mind those principles, that it's not about resisting or controlling, it's about letting go, and it's not about accumulating, it's about opening up and just being with what is. So yes, during meditation, that's the approach we should get. And meditation, there's no aim to meditation. There's not the aim of controlling the mind, or silencing the mind. There's not that aim. There's no aim. They're just being, just as things are, and observing. As soon as you understand the nature of the impermanence of your thoughts, then you won't get attached to it. You don't mind. You don't mind your thoughts. You just let them be. They're not gonna stay forever. They're just gonna pass by. Yeah. Just like a plane in the sky. And the sound of the plane, just like the sound of your thoughts. Just wait, and it's gonna disappear, and then another one will come, and then you just let it be. And the sky, the plane going through the sky hasn't changed the sky. The sky stays as it is. So your true nature always stays as it is. It's permanent. And your thoughts are just a plane going through the sky. It's not going to change the nature of the sky. Yeah. So it's not going to change your true nature.
So what changes is the ego. I mean, when it gets attached, when there is an attachment, there is a feeling that it is changing.
Yes, but it's just a feeling that
it's
is
a feeling.
Changing.
Yeah.
Your true nature is not changing. And the true nature, why do I use that term? It's because it's the term used in the text. We call it genren, which means it means very true and real, and ren, the person. And that's the aim of Daoism, of the Daoist path. It's to get back to the true person that you are, beyond conditioning, beyond the external situations, beyond the events that are happening in your life. There's something constant in you, your true nature, Genren. And once you reconnect to that, then we say, okay, you've become an immortal, you've become a Genren, a true person. Just like in Buddhism, you would say you've become Buddha. And so, by becoming your true self, your true nature, your true person, then you are at one with the Tao. That's the path, in a few words.
So we already are it, but there is a path.
Yes, and that's why we call, and in the Tao Te Ching, they say we return to the Tao. We return to our true nature. So it's a return, it's going back to your original nature. So it's a path that doesn't go forward, it goes backward, which is, the funny thing about it. You go back, step back to who you were. And that's why in the Tao Te Ching, one of the chapter on Lao Tzu, which is the main figure of Taoism, it says, he said, can you be like the child? So it means, can you be like you when you were a child, before conditioning, where everything was spontaneous in you? From a spiritual and point of view, but also from a physical point of view. When you're a child, you've got so much vitality. And so your body is full of potential, And so can you go back also to that state of vitality? Because in Taoism, we don't separate the mind and the body. So that's why there are also practices that include the body. Yeah, because it's all made of energy, chi. Whether it's the mind, your emotions, and your body. And the nature, and the trees, and those roses, and those cameras, and those chairs. It's all made of chi, but different form of chi. So it's all unity. So we also work with the body.
In your experience, did the perception of your own body as a woman changed since you started the spiritual path?
That's a very interesting question. This question brings me back to a question that I asked my old master. And my old master was living like a recluse in his room in a temple. And he asked me to go and meet him every Sunday and have lunch with him. And he would cook in his little room, very simple food, and we spent, a few hours together, which was a very great opportunity. And in Daoism, there's the notion of some specific techniques for women, because indeed men and women don't have the same body. So there's some breathing techniques or some concentration techniques that appears to be different between men and women. So I asked my old master, I said, well, shouldn't I be practicing specific technique as a woman? Because I knew of those. We call it Nudan, which is alchemy for women. And he looked at me deeply like that, and he said, do men and women have a different heart? And I said, no. He said, well, the true practice is in the heart and comes from the heart. And true alchemy is also in the heart. That was his answer. So that's just the answer I feel like sharing with you.
Yeah. It's beautiful. Of course, it's to the point. Yeah. So don't you think there are differences in the journey? Because it's, of course, that is truth.
Yes. According to those Daoist alchemical practices for women, we say that there might be differences at the beginning, but then it all gets the same.
Yeah.
Yes. And it might be a bit difficult to mention those within the context of a short interview like that.
Of course.
But really, I think the true answer is that answer that my old master gave. Because ultimately, the form is not important. And our true nature is beyond the concept of male and female. It's like you will notice the same qualities when you meet a good man or a good woman. And that's where we are aiming. Where we are aiming. Just be a good person. So my relationship to my body as a woman didn't change while walking that path. Also, I guess it freed me from all the conditioning, because there's a strong conditioning on how a woman should behave or a man should behave. And that's not the true nature of masculinity or femininity, of masculinity or femininity. Yeah. It's a conditioning of the society. And you see it very clearly when you move from one society to another one, like I had the chance to do visiting many countries, and like you probably had also the chance to do the opportunity. It's like the role or what it's to be a woman in a part of India is very different from the role that we would say a woman should have. There are some tribes and minorities in China where a woman has a few husbands. In the west part of China, in their tribes, it's a woman doesn't get married with only one man. She gets married with a few men, and the children, all the men take care of them. It's like polygamy, but from a woman point of view.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. We should be careful not to get caught up in the idea of what should be the role or the qualities or the action of a woman, because very often it's a conditioned ideas that we have. And I think the way to express your true femininity is by expressing your true self. So, for example, your true self, there's this joy in using makeup, use it. There's no joy and a sense of, how would you say? I mean, there's no joy in wearing makeup, don't wear it, you know. You enjoy wearing dresses because you like the feeling of the wind on your legs and the fabric, you know, moving with the wind, and you love dresses and you enjoy it. Dress it like that, not because you feel you're a woman and you should dress like that. And when you express yourself fully, it's what's gonna emanate from you. Just like this rose is emanating a true perfume. That's what we want. I mean, that's what I want anyway. Oui, I don't know.
I also want it. We want it. Yeah, it's a freedom in the expression.
Yes, freedom of expression.
Yeah, no pressure.
To follow a certain path, to look feminine or to be feminine or to be masculine, you know. And if you focus your quest on that, finding your true self, then your femininity will express yourself fully.
It's
going to be your femininity.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the femininity that the society is expecting, or the new age femininity is expecting, or, you know, it's going to be your true femininity. So, okay, if you are looking for your true femininity, look for your true self, and it's going to express itself spontaneously. That's the way I look at it.
Beautiful. Beautiful way. Thank you. Thank you. So, are there feminine deities in Daoism?
Actually, it's very interesting because some commentary to the Tao Te Ching mentioned that the Tao is the feminine aspect. So the Tao itself could be a feminine representation. And for example, Christopher Schipper, who's a very well-known scholar, did lots of research on that aspect, that the Tao could be that representation of the ultimate feminine. So, but also we have some more specific deities like Domo Yuanjun. Domo Yuanjun is the goddess who birthed all the stars, specifically the constellation of the Big Dipper. And she's a very powerful goddess with 6 arms. With in those arms there are some different ritual objects, but she also have different faces. So one of visage or face. One of them is an animal. The other one is a demon, and the main one is obviously a beautiful woman face. And behind this representation is the idea that she can communicate with all those different realms, and she's got the ability to transform herself to be able to go into these realms and help people there. So help the animals, help the demons and stuff. So we have a tendency to say that women are multitask. So she's a representation of that feminine multitask aspect, you know, 6 arms and 3 faces.
Wow. And she's in charge of
the destiny of humanity, because as she's in charge of everything that is bright in the sky. And actually, in her arms, in one hand, she holds the sun, and in the other one, she holds the moon. And so everything that is bright in the sky is under management, if you would say. And so yes, as such, she's in charge of the destiny of humanity. So there's something, I would say, if I wanted to joke and be a bit cheeky, I'd say it's quite reassuring that the destiny of humanity is in the hand of a woman.
Yes. It is good. Good to know.
It's just a joke because we are in between women. I wouldn't, but yeah.
It's reassuring.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And in 2017, you opened this.
Yes, so in 2000,
temple.
yes, so I came back to France so I lived in China for 15 years, came back to France in 2016 and opened up a temple in 2017 here in Montluçon. And it's called Wu Minggong. Wu Minggong means the temple or the center of no name. Wu Ming, no name. And it refers to an expression that we find in the Tao Te Ching and also in other texts that says that the Tao has no name. No name, so it's like to say, okay. And also it's to represent the fact that opening up for the first time a center in Europe, then it was an opening to all potentiality, and there was no need to give it a specific form. It was more like planting a seed and see how it's gonna grow. So no name.
Great. And so do you teach courses?
Yes.
What do you teach?
So yes, I teach workshops, online classes, and I've got different approaches. One of them is the study of the traditional text. The other one is to practice meditation, and another one is to practice some energetic techniques related to making the qi circulate in the body, so working with the body.
And is there any advice you can give to everyone to bring in their daily life?
Okay. My core practice, and I feel the core practice of Daoism, is meditation. And meditation is not to sit and close your eyes and not take part in the society. But it's to take part in the society while you don't get entangled into the chaos that you might see or feel. And so we should always stay connected to our true self, that little voice in our heart, while we are in the midst of things. So don't look outside, look inside in whatever you're doing. So do it so that you feel aligned with what you're doing and that there's a sense of comfort inside you. Look for any tension in the body when you're doing something. If there's tension, then it means that you're doing something not the right way. We call it Wu Wei. One of the core principles of Daoism is to act in the world spontaneously, which means that your actions come from your true self and not from your fear. So act in a spontaneous way, which means that is aligned with your core values, and then everything will follow. That's when synchronicities will arrive, that things will develop fully. Yeah, stay aligned with your core values.
Yeah, not so easy.
Not so easy. It's something to practice every day. Yes, it's not easy. Nobody said it's easy. But it's fun though.
Yeah.
Yes, because the more you do it, the more you nourish something inside of yourself that wants some more. More and more. Because it's good for you. Yeah, it's like some chocolate.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, right now in the world, we are facing many, many challenges.
Yes.
How would you suggest we can keep an open heart while crossing these times?
Yes, so just to summarize, it's important to realize that there's always been some challenging times, and when we look at the old teachings, whether it's Buddhism or Daoism, 2,500 years ago, they already mentioned that they were going through challenging time. That's why actually those teachings came to life. You know, it's because of those challenging times that those teachings go. So stick to the teachings, use them, you know, use them as regularly as you can, and use those practices like meditation, getting back to the body, breathing, soft stretching, and also it's your attitude, which is like you might not be able to control what's happening outside of yourself. Like if suddenly you're getting fired, it's a difficulty happening outside of yourself, but what's happening inside of yourself, you have the power to transform it. And what's usually happening inside yourself is like the stress, the fear, thinking about the future and thinking that you might not find another job, although you don't know that yet. Also, that difficulty to let go your old habits of going to that job, and suddenly you feel like you can't let go because there was something so comfortable. And also that assumption that you might not find something as good or even better, but it might be an opportunity that the universe is sending you, that you're ready to do something else. So yes, change your attitude. That's the power you have. It's such a strong power, and people forget about that. So you've got that attitude to change things inside yourself, and once you change your attitude, then that's when things might change outside. For example, we have a concept in Daoism that we call Gain Yin, which is that everything resonates. In New Age or in those new time, we call it law of attraction, in a way. But in Daoism, we've got Gain, so which means that what you feel inside is going to happen outside. It's going to bring to you what's inside you. So that's why it's important to do those practice of relaxing yourself, being more confident, trust. So how do you bring trust in your life? Because that's the question. It's so easy to say, oh, trust in the universe. It's like, oh, I mean, all hell is breaking loose. How am I going to trust the universe? Well, listen to your heart. Literally. Not just listen to that voice in your heart. Listen to your heart beating. I mean, that's amazing. There's this boom, and then this silence. And then boom again. Silence. Boom again, which means that if the heart doesn't beat one more time, you're dead. So there's this incredible power, beneficial power inside you that keeps your heart beating. So where's the miracle? Here. So trust that power that keeps you alive. Reconnect to that power and let the world be. Because we also say that if you want to transform your life or people or the world, transform yourself first. Because you're gonna emanate some good vibrations and people around you will feel better. You won't even need to talk. And in Daoism, there's this concept of microcosm and microcosm, which means you are a small universe. And by transforming your small universe inside yourself, you're going to transform the big universe because it's all one. So transform your thoughts, transform your attitude. Breathe. And the world will breathe. Yeah. Relax and the world will relax. And if not, the world will relax. People around you will relax. They feel it, you know. You feel it when you're sitting close to someone who is tense. There's something that is starting to tense in you. So if you relax, people will unconsciously feel it.
So thank you so much, Karine, for sharing your beautiful story and experience.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure, and thank you for everybody.
And I also want to thank the donors of the Women Awakening Project who are helping this to become real. If you want to know more about the project and the ways you can support us, please find the link below to the website. Also, if you want to know about Karine Martin and the courses and retreats that she leads in France and all over the world, you will find a link below. So, thank you again for inspiring us, and see you next time.
Yes, see you next time.